Welcome back. I'm here with Dr. Cundall and Dr. Eli Jaffa from Columbus, South Carolina. I might be wrong on that. Eli, thanks very much for joining me.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Columbia, but very close.
Columbia, there you go. It's near Greenville, right?
Close, yep, pretty close.
Close enough. Thank you very much. Hey, I know on your Twitter thing it says hacker. What is that for?
So yeah, it's a great question. One that I don't get asked often enough. I think the term hacker has taken kind of a life of its own through a variety of reasons, but the way that I use it is basically that I hack together things like the traditional kind of hacker, where the term comes from like hacking together code or programming. So I like to take things that do one thing and then try to mess with them so that they do something else. And so the kind of relevant example, I guess, would be that there's a series of computers called Raspberry Pis. They're like very cheap, like $25, $30 computers. And I was trying to figure out how to basically get better ultrasound images streaming from some folks that I work with in Tanzania and get that live streamed to the US so that I could kind of do some continued education. And I actually made a system that basically takes that little board and then takes the video output from an ultrasound system and then ships it over to a server live in a way that's done by like some of the fancier kind of several $100,000 systems that we've got currently. So that would be a prime example of hacking a system together that just kind of works.
Well, Eli, you had me at Raspberry Pi, so that was good. So how did you meet Barbara Tatham and Alicia Cundall at EM Global?
Yeah, it was a bit of a bizarre story, but one that seems to repeat itself several times in my life. But this particular time, I had been planning a trip with my fellowship director from Duke University to do some education and some kind of shared teaching with the folks out at KCMC. This would have been around, I believe, 2018, early 2018, somewhere in there, and we were planning, and I was coordinating with the folks over there, and then at one point they said, "Hey, do you know these Canadian folks who are coming over there?" And I was like, "I don't know who exactly you're talking about, but that's a little strange coincidence." And so what it turned out that I believe Barb and Alicia and I were all kind of planning these trips almost in parallel without really actually knowing about the other ones. And so so I think Dr. Sakita sent me her phone number, and I connected on WhatsApp, and that got me connected to Tarek Labani. And we I very distinctly remember like the first time I talked to Barb Tatham, we texted like, it was, I mean, there must have been like close to 1,000 or 2,000 text messages sent in the course of like an evening. I think I stayed up all night, like through till like 7 or 8 in the morning. And we just had this incredibly deep and interesting conversation. And we just found out that like we had so many shared goals and shared dreams, and that kind of just like made it a very obvious thing that like, oh yeah, no, I totally have to be a part of this group in whatever fashion that I can. And so that was kind of the beginning of how that all started, and then we kind of took it from there. So it's been a wild ride, and it's all because of Barb.
That's awesome. Why are you so passionate about Tanzania?
It wasn't. It was more an opportunity. It wasn't Tanzania in particular that I personally had a vested interest in, but I had a lot of friends at Duke who did have a vested interest in it, and that happened to be the opportunity. They were looking for somebody. My friends were looking for somebody to help beef up the ultrasound educational system there. Duke has a very close relationship with KCMC going back years and years. And I happened to be somebody who was very passionate about ultrasound and about education at the time. And because of that link, that kind of drew me into the whole system. And then once I was there, I mean, I've stuck around with this whole business just because the people are so fantastic, and all of the friendships that I made and the relationships that we've kind of cultivated over there. I mean, they're at this point kind of very close friends of mine, and I really couldn't I really couldn't see any other kind of situation having quite as much of a positive impact on me at this stage.
Well, let's see. Do you remember the first time meeting Eli in person?
Well, we haven't met in person. So, our group has had different hurdles thrown at us, and most recently the pandemic, but we have only met virtually and had multiple discussions like Eli was mentioning. And I think what Eli shared about Barb is so true, that she had this capacity to bring people in. And it was really important to her that whatever we do, we would continuously include anyone who wanted to be part of it. And so this group has just kind of grown and snowballed with this ethos of inclusion and bringing people in who are passionate and kind-hearted and have our vision. So I long to meet Eli and his family in person, especially his adorable young children who we have video called with multiple times, and his amazing wife who's a pediatrician in his area, but we haven't had that chance yet.
Well, that's awesome. Eli, thank you very much for joining me. And certainly thank you for all the work you're doing with EM Global as well. Thank you for joining me as well from South Carolina. I appreciate it.
Of course, thank you for having me.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You as well.